bite is pure bliss. So grab your whisk, preheat the oven, and let's bake up something magical together. Okay, now to make those lovely lemon meringue cupcakes, let's get started by lining our cupcake pan with our cupcake papers. And then let's also switch our oven to 180 degrees Celsius. So that's ready. For our vanilla cupcakes, I'll be measuring the ingredients with a scale because we're going according to grams today, mostly. Let's sift together our dry ingredients. Firstly, we'll start with 213 grams of all-purpose or cake flour. To the flour, we'll be adding 200 grams of white sugar. Next, we're adding 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. I'll only be adding a pinch of salt because I'm using salted butter today. And then let's whisk our dry ingredients together. So for the dry ingredients, we've added 213 grams of flour, 200 grams of white sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and a pinch of salt. Next, we'll measure 170 grams of butter. As mentioned before, I'm using salted butter, and therefore I've only added a pinch of salt. So that's 170 grams of salted butter. Let's melt that in the microwave. So while the butter is melting, let's separate 3 eggs. We'll be using the egg whites. You can use the egg yolks in a custard or something that you'll be making. We'll be adding one tablespoon of vanilla, a 1/2 cup of milk, and a 1/2 cup of sour cream. And lastly, let's add our melted butter. And now let's add our wet ingredients to our dry ingredients. So we've mixed it together and there's our lovely batter. And let's get that into our cupcake pan. Just fill your cupcake papers about 2/3 full, not to the top, to give it space for rising as well. Now let's bake these for about 20 minutes or until the centers feel springy to the touch. They're perfect. Cupcakes are out the oven. Obviously, some of them aren't perfect, but don't worry about that. We're going to be filling these cupcakes and frosting them with a lovely Swiss meringue. So let's leave them to cool down completely because we're going to be filling them with lemon curd and you don't want them to be hot or warm at all. Our cupcakes are nice and cold, so I'm going to start removing a little part in the center, remove the core so that we can fill that with lemon curd. So I prepared my lemon curd yesterday. Let's just pop that into a piping bag so that we can pipe the curd into the cupcakes. You can use store-bought lemon curd for this recipe, but if you follow this link, my lemon curd recipe is so easy and it's delicious. Once you've filled all your cupcakes, let's set them aside so that we can make our Swiss meringue. For the Swiss meringue, in a small pot, we'll be adding our sugar and our water, and we'll be boiling that up to 115.5 degrees Celsius before we pour it into our whipped egg whites. So let's add 225 grams of granulated white sugar to our pot. And to the sugar, we'll add 55 grams of water. Get that on the stove. We're just warming it up on a very medium to low heat because we want to separate our eggs while that is heating up and start whipping the egg whites. The recipe is asking for 100 grams of egg white or 3 large eggs. So I'm going to try to get the 3 large egg whites as close to 100 grams as possible. Three egg whites is exactly 101 grams. We'll switch our mixer to a medium speed, just so it can start whipping up the egg whites while the sauce is heating up. Ideally, we want to get it to stiff peaks before we add our syrup. Our egg whites have reached stiff peak consistency. We can now add our syrup. So we'll be switching our mixer to high, and then we'll be pouring our syrup while it's mixing. But try not to touch the sides or the whisk, so pour it in between. The hot syrup will actually cook your egg white as well. Now we'll let the mixer run until your bowl is cool to the touch. If you touch it, it needs to have cooled down a bit. So let's just switch it back on medium and let it go. And there we have a beautiful meringue. Let's get that into a piping bag and then we can pipe our cupcakes. And you can pipe it any way you like. I'm using a blowtorch to caramelize it on top and just to round it off and give it a beautiful look. If you don't have a blowtorch, don't worry, you can stick it in the oven with a grill from the top for a little bit. But when you do that, ensure that your frosting covers all your cupcake as well, so you don't burn your cupcake. And there you go, lovely lemon meringue cupcakes. It was lovely sharing this with you. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.